Impact 2022.
Look at Matthew chapter 20, reading from verse 1 to 16. Look at some few lessons here. Very, very interesting dynamics here. Look at it.
For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an household, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his.
Underline the word early in the morning. Different rules. You have to look at it. Look at it.
And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into the vineyard.
So the first laborers, he had a deal with them. Say a deal. He had a contract with them. They signed a deal. I don't like that one. I don't like the deal one. I don't like the contract one. I like and I love the 11th hour miracle. I want to be among the 11-hour workers. Are you hearing me, somebody? But to be among the 11th hour workers, it takes some endurance. It takes some inner tenacity. It takes some audacity. It takes some attitude. Are you hearing me, somebody? It takes some staying power. Say, I hear you. Go ahead.
And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle
He
in the
went
marketplace.
about what?
The third hour.
After the first, he went the third. Watch it, follow it.
And he said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, I will give you.
So these ones too, he agreed with them. He had a deal with them. He said, you go in, work, and whatsoever
Is right,
is right,
I will give you.
as the Lord of the vineyard is my money, I will give it to you. So there was an understanding here. Go ahead, look.
And they went their way. Again, he went out about the sixth and ninth
He went
hour,
back again the third time.
and he did likewise.
Uh-huh.
And about the 11th hour, he went out, and
He went out.
and found others standing idle, and saith unto them,
Yes,
Why
sir.
stand ye here all the day idle?
All day idle. Watch this, go ahead.
They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first.
Beginning from the 11th hour, those who came at last, not those who came at the first, the third, the sixth, but those who came what? At last, pay them first.
And when they came, that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal.
I
unto
want
us."
to be among the 11th hour that just works for 1 hour. Are you hearing me, somebody? Yeah. Just for 1 hour. Everybody came working from the beginning of the day. From morning, they worked and worked and worked and worked. Now, these 11-hour workers, we call them the 11th hour workers. They all came from the same house, the same community, the same tribe. They were friends, they were family. And they all came looking for an opportunity to work. The master came the first time and employed their brothers, their sisters from the same house, the same community, and ignored them. He came back the second time and called for another group from the same house, the same community, the same area, and ignored the 11th hour people. Then he came the third time and called for people that were friends, loved ones in the same community, and ignored the 11th hour people. But the thing about the 11th hour workers is this: they were not discouraged. They didn't go home. They didn't backslide. They didn't give up on their faith. They still believe. And here, it wasn't that they were lazy. They didn't have an opportunity. They were still believing and still standing and still waiting and still had faith that their opportunity will come. The Bible said that it is not, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to men of might, nor riches to men of skill or understanding, but time and chance happens to all. Put your hands together and say yes. They were waiting for chance and they were waiting for time. They didn't give up. Turn to somebody and say, you give up too quick. That's the problem with a lot of you believers. You church, you backslide, you give up on your faith, you stop believing, you begin to murmur, you begin to complain about everything, and you have issues with everybody. The 11th hour workers did not complain. They came from the same house and they have issues. That's why they didn't go back home. Because they came from the same house with the people who were hired and they were ignored. But hear me, being ignored does not disqualify you. And sometimes it can be like you are being rejected. No. Are you hearing me? It's not about rejection. It has to be with timing. Somebody say timing, timing, timing. Because if I have to choose, seriously speaking, I prefer being among the 11th hour workers. Because these guys came from the morning, they work afternoon, they work evening, and the 11th hour workers had only 1 hour. They had only 1 hour to make an impact, 1 hour to make a difference, 1 hour to do something with their time, and within 1 hour, like a moment, they were able to turn their situations around, and they worked within the 1 hour that the master said, you know something? Pay the 11th hour workers first. I want those who came and had only 1 hour to make a difference. They've impressed me. There is something about these 11th hour workers that I want them to be paid first before everybody else, and pay them the same amount everybody else that came before them. Hard. Now watch it. Do you realize that when the master came and called the 11th hour workers, they didn't reject the call? They could have said, it's too late. They could have said, I have toiled all night. Like Peter said to the master when Jesus said, cast your net to this side, to the right side. And Peter said, Master, I've been in the fishing business all my life. I know where the fishes are. We've toiled all night and had nothing. And Jesus said, you don't know who you're talking to. I'm the master. Are you hearing me, somebody? Then Peter said, nevertheless, at thy word, at thy word, at thy word we will act. At thy word. Others could have been discouraged, thrown in the tower, and said to the master, it's the 11th hour. There's nothing we can do. 1 hour, what can we do within an hour? And some of them could be thinking about, what will I get for 1 hour? So many people are security minded than abundant minded. They are thinking about security and check. But the 11th hour workers said it's an opportunity to make a difference. It's an opportunity to prove a point. It's an opportunity to make an impact. So they took advantage of the 1 hour. Hear me. When God remembers you and when God favors you, 1 hour can make a difference. A moment can make a difference. Somebody lift up your hand and say yes. All they had was 1 hour. That's all they had. But watch this. When we talk about the 11th hour workers, it's like when a woman goes to give birth to a child. The head comes first, then the shoulder, then the rest of the body, and then the feet comes last. The feet comes last. But it's the feet that carries everything. And the 11th hour workers are the people we call the foot generation. The foot generation are those that carries everything. They carry the head, they carry the shoulder, they carry all the organs of the body, they carry everything, but they are the 11th hour generation. Are you hearing me, somebody? They come when everybody has come first and has accomplished so much. There's a book that is coming out before we end Impact, entitled Bridging the Generational Gap. You need to get that book. Because, you see, we must understand something, especially the old generation, that there is coming a new generation that will accomplish and do more than the old generation. And it's not because they are anointed and they are better than the old generation, but history rises and repeats itself on a higher plane. And if you watch God, God is a progressive God and He's a generational God. He's the God of Abraham. He's the God of Isaac. He's the God of Jacob. And they should have been the God of Reuben. But the reason why we didn't have the God of Reuben was because Reuben didn't honor the father. And dishonor will strip and deny you of your generational privileges. Jesus said the other day in John the 8th chapter, he said, I don't have a devil because I honor my father. And the thing that guarantees the blessing of the young generation is honoring the old generation. When you fail in honoring the old generation, you forfeit your inheritance, because you attract and you become what you honor, and you forfeit what you dishonor. But the fifth generation, which is the 11th hour workers, are those that will come at the 11th hour, when all of us have worked hard and have sweated all the year long, all the day long, all the month long, and they come upon the foundations we have laid, and they have just 1 hour. And they take the microphone, and in a moment they turn the whole world around. Are you hearing me, somebody? Put your hands together and say yes.